Welcome to another movie plot and enjoy the memories. We open in the far future at a research facility on the planet Fabon. A rookie scientist cuts his finger on a petri dish, then walks over to the incubator and sticks his wound into some alien egg juice. He calls the lead scientist Dr. Frank to warn him that he might be contaminated, so the geneticist Dr. Marissa accompanies her boss to the lab. Dr. Sticky Fingers has gone and got himself reduced into a gelatinous mess, so Marissa sends out a distress call into space. It contains no mention of an infectious virus, and the only thing in the area that picks it up is a spaceship piloted by the android Tinpan. He's hauling around a giant egg of his own, but it's just a designer sofa for the underwear model and mission commander Steve. The pair are called freelance controllers, which just sounds like mercenaries, and get jumped by some space pirates on their way to Fabon. The Sector 3 defense shield gets penetrated, which is a whole bunch of words, so duct tape Steve has to hold some wires together. During this time, the robot who's already flying the ship goes on to destroy all three fighters and even self-extinguishes when he bursts into flames. With the enemy defeated, we continue on with the mission, and Steve strolls up like, "Did you see how well I held those wires together?" Tinpan is a yes man because he was saved from the junkyard by Steve, but he says it was only because the droid has a good resale value. They fly to Fabon and the robot comes in hot with a landing, so now they're both stuck here whether they want to be or not. He walks into the facility first, where the scientists wonder who ordered the microwave, when Steve enters with a full-body slow-motion scan from feet to forehead. The commander meets head researcher Dr. Emily, as well as the love interest with a matching cowlick, who tells this complete stranger she hasn't been laid in 3 years. That's probably why the ladies are wearing such heavy makeup for a day in the office, but Emily claims that the distress call was a false alarm. Marissa seems distressed, so sensitive Steve decides to hang around and says he feels a disturbance in the force, but that's the wrong movie.
We're out of here.
At a meeting, we learn from Emily that the scientists tried to create a virus to kill another virus, but somehow just made the alien egg instead. Marissa calls it a monster, so Frank gets all defensive over his creation, while some researcher named Sal says, "What egg?" Most of these people didn't even know about it, like Tim and Jill, who dress like they just walked in from a completely different movie. Steve says that he better take a look at this metamorphic mutation, but it was born in space, so we're calling it an alien. Sure enough, as they argue about whether this thing is able to escape, it smashes out of the impenetrable incubator. Steve tries to shoot it, but Frank stops him, so a researcher named Devon has this thing latch onto her face and squeeze up her nostril. This unlucky girl was given the harrowing yet ultimately pointless backstory of being the sole survivor from a previous biological disaster called the Astro Lab incident. Even Steve was impressed she survived, because he says he nuked that lab himself, but now she has Frank and Emily digging around inside her skull. The alien has eaten her brain, and while they rummage around inside Devon like a piece of luggage, it emerges from her undercarriage. It's immune to bullets, so escapes through a vent, but that doesn't stop Steve and the rest of this lot from spending the whole movie shooting at it. To protect the alien, Frank claims that what we witnessed was just an exaggerated muscle spasm from rigor mortis setting in on Devon. Nobody believes him, so the team split up to search for the creature because the commander tells them it's the smart thing to do. Their plan is to seal off all the vents to the outside so the nostril monster can't escape, but Sal gets attacked in his own bedroom. Marissa, the marksman, didn't even feel comfortable enough to carry a gun, but she picks up Sal's and is able to shoot the alien off his face. Unfortunately, she should have just put it between his eyes, because he dies anyway and probably wouldn't have suffered so much. Meanwhile, Tinny says, "I wonder why Frank wants to keep the alien alive so badly," and Steve pensively gazes off like, "Yeah, I wonder." He doesn't have some sinister love affair with the alien, he just has the virus, which he was hoping their monster virus would cure. For now, he just coughs everywhere, probably spreading it to everybody, while the group gets together to mourn the loss of old what's-his-name. They decide the best thing to do would be to split up again, but this time everyone goes to sleep because being awake last time got one of them killed. Jill says she's tired and traumatized from today's events, but still lets Tim hit it since they'll probably both be dead by morning anyway. Marissa says goodnight to Steve, but the Tin Man wingman pulls the "my battery's low" trick to get his boy an invite inside. While Tinny recharges the silver tongue, Steve looks at the blueprints of the facility and tells Marissa that they're probably going to die. This causes her to bust out in tears, so Commander Cool tells her to get some rest while he takes the first watch, but then immediately falls asleep. Since it would be illogical for the two to sleep together having only just met and with a monster on the loose, Marissa just dreams about it because she's contractually obligated to get them out, and it's been 3 years since she rode the baloney pony. She gets jump-scared awake by the image of Steve as a corpse who's woken up by her screaming, and pretends like he was on guard the whole time. He says nothing can get inside here without him noticing when the monster bursts through the bed, as it got in here without him noticing. Steve whips out the gun to scare it away and then tells everybody to evacuate the facility while he goes hunting the alien. He doesn't find anything, but when Mary decides to return for her dream man, she almost gets her face blown off because he's a little on edge. The monster has learned how to lock doors behind people and has grown into a 3-meter-tall praying mantis with an Independence Day head. It flails around while most imperfections are obscured by the inexplicable smoky interior, and our humans shoot more useless bullets. There seems to be no threat to the indestructible monster, but it still Kool-Aid Mans through a wall and onto the planet's surface. Steve goes hunting with Tinny but is told that his hazmat suit will deteriorate in only 20 minutes because the atmosphere is so acidic. Just to make things harder for himself, Steve goes outside without even putting on the mask, just a pair of $2 gas station sunglasses. The rest of the team monitors the hunters as they chase the creature up Vasquez Rock, taking shots with the same bullets that have been proven to be useless. Tim stands there in his silly shirt saying stupid things while Steve tries to Spider-Man up a cliff and almost dies when he falls all the way down. For some reason, Jill puts on a suit and goes outside to rescue them, but has no gun or reason to throw her life away for these strangers. Steve was almost back anyway as he left Tinpan to do all the work again and fight the monster in the middle of a sandstorm. His robo-foo is no match for being simply ripped in half, and the alien retreats down an air vent despite being in no danger once again. Steve mourns his friend like a broken toaster instead of protecting the flesh and blood woman who just risked her life to save him. Jill gets snatched up by the monster and even Tim barely reacts, so the alien comes after him next because that's just rude. Marissa nearly puts a bullet in Steve and Emily as they return, followed by a decaying Jill who I guess crawled out of the vent. Frank says that the monster virus carries every single disease known to mankind, which is why its victims decay so quickly and just sounds ridiculous. At Jill's own request, Steve puts Tim's girlfriend out of her misery, then everybody splits up again because third time's the charm. Marissa and Tim come across the monster making a cocoon in the incubation room, but it disappointingly grabs the former and not the latter. However, when Tim goes to run away and abandon Marissa, it trades him for the girl because cowards probably taste like chicken. This man appears to be shoved up the alien's own backside, and when Marissa returns with Steve, they find him splooged out on the floor. The monster continues to flail around without much leg movement, if it has any, and Steve doesn't just tell Marissa to run away, he throws her into the doorframe. He says that it's for her own protection, but it's really so that nobody is around to see him completely whiff this chair throw from like 10 feet away. Frank and Emily come up with the idea to use his infected blood as a weapon against the alien, so they fill some tranquilizer darts with the virus. They have no idea if it will even work and never find out because Frank dies before they can shoot it with enough of his blood. He either succumbed to the virus or donated too much blood, but Emily is also grabbed and eaten off screen, so it doesn't really matter. Since Frank doesn't have any objections, Steve feeds his head to the alien like an ice cream cone so that it ingests more of his blood. This is enough to kill the creature that smashes through the security door, all dramatically only to be found dead moments later. Suddenly, two smaller aliens burst out of its chest like a hydra, and one goes after Marissa, who is just standing in the lab doing nothing. The extraterrestrial slithers into the corpse on the operating table, so she grabs a needle containing Frank's blood and begins shanking it. Steve deals with the other mutant infant when he tosses it aside and uses the wall grenade of convenience to blow it up. Turns out fire kills these things as well, while Mary is about 70 stabs deep before the concerned commander finally stops her.
Dude.
With the alien defeated and Steve's mission completed, he repairs Tinpan because I don't think this guy knows how to fly the ship. He tells Marissa that he'll take her home, but she just wants to veg out around here all day in his designer egg sofa. And the movie ends.